Desde el hondo criso de la patria se levanta el clamor popular, ya se anuncia la nueva alborada, todo Chile comienza a cantar, recordando el soldado valiente, cuyo ejemplo se hiciera inmortal. Enfrentemos primero la muerte, traicionar a la patria más. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Campesinos, soldados y obreros, la mujer de la patria también, estudiantes, empleados, mineros, cumpliremos con nuestro deber, sembraremos la tierra de gloria, socialista será el porvenir, todos juntos haremos la historia, a cumplir, a cumplir, a cumplir. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer. Venceremos, venceremos, mil cadenas habrá que romper. Venceremos, venceremos, al fascismo sabremos vencer.
There we go. Okay. Now you should hear me. Thank you so very much for. Well, I don't think anybody's tuning in, quite frankly. With somebody over on, I believe, Reddit, like insulted, saying, well, tried to insult me by saying, oh, you're only streaming 2 days. Well, every stream, I'm not really, it would be a miracle if we had two people watch. Because it seems the chats still come over on OBS. They come, I get a more accurate display of the no people who are watching. Yeah. And as again, the Phelps family famously once said, there's nothing more perfect than a. Now, let me make sure that my audio is set up correctly here. Let me just make sure. You know, I used to. Actually, no, let's see the trolls that have been harassing us. Yeah, that was something that I had there back in the day when we were being brigaded. And that's something I wanted to touch on. Play this to make sure. I want to make sure that our yeah, there we go. Our teleport system was working. These doors here. Okay, yeah. Absolutely sure. There's one last thing I need to check. But anyway, yeah, well, no, I can't be paused because I asked people to actually tune in and watch this incredibly dull presentation that I have here. Yeah, brigading. You know, I finally, I was watching, I forget who it was, Dead Domain, I think it was, when she mentioned the word brigading, and that, I had completely forgotten that, phrase. If you're not aware of it, brigading is a term. Back in the day, we would call it just like a raid or something like that, where you got a bunch of people on 4chan or whatever grouped together, and they would they would all just attack a certain target online. And boy, we got brigaded. Yeah, I mean, I've been on in the wake of our game being released, we got brigaded. Um, by again, people say that I blamed Charlie Kirk for the brigades. No, I blamed the brigades, especially because as dumb as Charlie Kirk is, he was right about a few things, and they don't even seem to know what those things are. But anyway, um, yeah, we were brigaded, and when I look back again, we did everything we could to really provoke that because again, these people are snowflakes, and it all started when we were putting essentially, there are some people on Steam and other like gaming network forums and such, and they create these lists of woke games, games that have like reading in them or a female character that doesn't have humongous, you know uh, as I say, you know what I'm getting. Um, Essentially, a bunch of basement dwelling incels complaining about games that make them very, really upset because it doesn't cater to their male fantasies. Um, isn't that what games are supposed to do? Cater to male fantasies? Yeah, yeah. No, they're supposed to cater to fantasies. Anyway, let's move on. By putting, I mean, whenever I submitted the game again to these like lists, they would just, ban us, and if they did respond, they go, "You're trolling us," because again, they can't, understand. We are actually trying to save them a little bit of time. I gotta get rid of that meow whenever cat swipes. Great, sure that's set right. Okay. Um, but they got very upset. And in the wake of in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder in September, because we refused to participate in the North Korean style state mandated mourning of the guy, and I dared to actually like repeat what the guy had said in context after his death. By Anyway, and I'm not gonna, I could go into like how he was killed, but I won't drone on about that. Anyway, um, these people again. And whenever I bring this up, they say, "Oh, you're just blaming a bunch of poor innocent people because you released a flawed game." No, actually, we have completely fessed up to the flawed state of the game was when we released it. It was a gargantuan mistake. However, there are a heck of a lot of people that, have written bad reviews that are written in bad faith. We've tried to get back in touch with them, and it's like, listen, we've addressed all the concerns that you bring up in your review. Would you consider, here's a free Steam key, would you consider rewriting it or whatever? No, they are there, to just essentially, uh, again, it's called brigading. If that's what the war against Scientology was back in the day, In fact, that's what the new war against Scientology, when the kids are just like raiding the Scientology headquarters. And by the way, that is very, very innovative. I have to say, I am totally in favor of the Scientology raids. But don't do anything illegal, kids. Don't. I mean, understand, those people are not breaking and entering. Scientology centers are places of worship open to the public. Those people are allowed in. I am. Uh, but yeah, um, and all the craziness. And again, it wasn't just the bad reviews. I was getting dozens of PMs, dozens of messages via all my social media and everything, calling. I mean, just really trashing me personally. And, I was able to put up with it because, again, that's happened before. And I knew from my experience during, Project Chronology against the war Scientology, the anonymous war against Scientology. I knew that eventually, especially among a crowd like these people, these right wingers, it would turn into, if you'll pardon the French, a dick measuring contest. And they would like, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this. And sure enough, if you gave them enough time, understand at a certain point, these sort of like brigading things become more about uh, gaining clout with your fellow brigaders rather than going after the brigade target itself. And that always, always, always has happened, even back during the days, of the Anonymous War Against Scientology. That happened. And I know it would happen again. It happened when those people, um, started there. When two people say, thought that it would be really cloutful of them to, again, send threats against myself and my partner here. Um, and, well, that ended it all. And, boy, and I want to say here, and even if that had not happened, understand that very morning, because that's another thing that really brigade people, except I will say Project Chronology was very good at this. They were able to stay on message for a very large time because they had a great pool of people. And because they understand a war, because I used to work in politics, a war or a discussion or a conversation or any sort of, publicity. Um, and anything like that, you're trying to create a narrative. It isn't about a single point. You're trying to create a narrative because if you have one point, it can be knocked down. You want to create as tenuous as you can make it. And trust me, politics being like poker, there's some people who've been able to really bluff that really well. And Karl Rove, I will say, despite his scumminess, was a master at that. Like I said, I work in politics. But it's about maintain. It's not about making a point. It's about creating a narrative and understand. Even that morning, before the morning of that day before they started sending the death threats against us, the narrative already has turned from just these people released a bad game and are evil people to um, these guys are being under assault by this army of right-wing crazies. And even if those and that's the thing, even if those people they really shot their cause in the foot, uh because all they did was make their cause even worse, because that morning the narrative was already forming of the right-wing attack against two main game developers, and that was going to take care of them itself, because I've seen this happen before. It was kind of anyway. I just keep on looking back to that, and well, uh, oh, we actually have people watching. If anybody wants to talk to me, there's chat over there. Hello. Because anyway, let me go back to that. Because I mean, for example, you go back to the election against John Kerry. It didn't matter whether John Kerry was actually a decorated combat veteran. They went after his strength as a combat veteran and diminished it. They created a narrative that his combat service was actually just him sitting in a boat, a posh assignment, and his Purple Heart was gotten because literally they said some rice pellets had hit him in the butt, and that was very successful, as false as it was. But that's Karl Rove. Like I said, he's a master. You don't like him? Got him in for you. Proper one. And again, it's kind of weird. Again, like I said, the golden age of trolling seems to be back in the days of Project Chronology, when they were or with Scientology, because it seems all of the art and class has gone out of trolling. Anyway, and they just again, it becomes a stupid dick measuring contest among the children of the corn. I don't know what to call them. Right wing lunatics. People who I don't know who idolized a podcaster that only 30% of them had serial killer. Anyway, and I mean it's really crazy watching the American news and just seeing there is absolutely no reports or news about literally the United States of America is apparently engaged in another freaking war with Iran. And if you're not aware, this is something that's going to hurt us. I mean, the United States is really in a hurting situation right now. I mean, like the rest of the basic world, because the Strait of Hormuz, and really the big hurt hasn't hit us yet. I mean, two strips of beef, about like the size of strips, $15 now. I mean, just two small strips of beef. This is while there was still in this the herd the cow herds are the lowest they've been since the 1800s. The I think this is going to be the worst of grain harvest in 150 years. And what else have I heard? Oh yeah, the United States Strategic Petroleum Reserve is about 2 weeks away from just depleting. And I mean, sometimes I have to chuckle and think about there are people actually voted for this jackass. Oh, he's not going to get us into any more wars, that guy. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, oh yeah, yeah, if you think we could continue this sort of like war against Iran, understand our ammunition stocks are so drastically low. Even before the ceasefire failed. In the last phase of this, we were pulling arms in and the HIMARS, etc., from the rest of the world just to keep this war going. We don't have jack left. We're not. And Iran literally still has 66% of its drone and ballistic missile capacity left. I know the United States military has told you. They say, oh, only 20%. No, they have 60%. They have cities that we have not even been able to touch underground that are just stocked with missiles, and they're again doing their asymmetrical war. And I cannot believe. Well, no. I mean, what am I going to think, that we elect the stupidest goddamn person on the planet, and so I mean somehow it's going to work out? No, I knew. Again, I told people at the very beginning of this era, this is not going to start getting better until we have a straight up famine in this country. Straight up famine. And I mean, like I said, right now, two tiny strips of beef for $15. And oh my goodness. This is only tip of the iceberg. It's only going to get worse. Because understand, I mean, again, all the fertilizer comes in the Strait of Hormuz, all the urea, all the stuff that we use. I mean, and that stuff that we use to grow the crops feeds the animals, the stuff that we eat. Thankfully, can I just say, even though I still eat meat, can I just say, can I just say, when I worked at Ananias back in the day, I need to get rid of this map overlay. It's really blank. I just grab that. Yeah, thank you. That was for sizing up. When I worked at Ananias back in the day, it was just shocking to see. And you could call me unpatriotic or whatever, but man, it is just troubling to see how much meat the average American eats. I mean, these people would order sandwiches that would feed me for a day and a half, and you can see I'm a fat ass at 6'4", and I mean, I thought this, and they would eat that for lunch, and it would literally, I mean, their body was just so the America. Oh God, we're Europeans having to come over here for the World Cup, having to deal with like a really crappy food here. They're probably going to gain about 10 to 15 pounds while they're here. I don't know. By the way, I'm to quote Father Jack Cratchit, "Feck off, World Cup." Feck off, World Cup. I can't do the Irish accent like that guy. But anyway, I just the World Cup is straight up there with all the rest of sports times 10. every time they try to have it here in the United States, and I think we've had it here twice. I think the first time they were moderately successful in like trying to convince America that we love I'm sorry, the United States that we love soccer. We don't. We do. I'm sorry to the rest of the world. We just don't. We don't. We don't. There maybe one out of every 10 people who say they follow it actually does. And I mean, I can say is, and I know it's a beautiful game. It's a world game. All you need is a pitch and a ball, and there you're ready to go because everybody in the world knows the rules except for most people in the United States. But trying to place the huh. There it is. I mean, sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent there. Rah, 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 rah. Old man yells at cloud. Yeah, yeah. Because when I was growing up, when I was a wee lad growing up there in Oregon, um, let me see. I can't continue. I can't continue my like stereotypical Irish bad accent. My goodness. I guess it's back and forth. But the only place you could see, because this was back in the day, and this is probably very difficult for younger people to comprehend. If you lived out in the sticks, you got four channels. You got the three major networks, and you got a PBS channel. And the only place you could watch soccer was Soccer Made in Germany. And it was on. You'd see the people getting crazy and rowdy, and it would last for 4.5 hours, and it was 0-0. And the crowds are going wild all the way through. I understand that alcohol has a lot to do with it. And hey, that's universal, so I will say, yeah, that may have something to do with its universal appeal around the world. But here in the United States, I don't think we'd have the patience for it, really. It's just, I just don't ever, yes, we're ignorant that way as Americans. Get it. And here's the thing: is don't feel insulted. Oh, you don't like the footy. You don't like I bet you don't like cricket either. No, I don't like cricket. I don't like any of those sports. I don't like sports at all. I don't get sports. I really don't understand. Um, it's sort of no, no. It's not even analogous to that, and I won't even get into that. I was about to go down a very dangerous road. So, what I want to do is I want to grab this guy, and we got to test this like step by step. It's still very dull, and that's why I'm streaming it because otherwise I go insane. Because well, I mean, when I moved up here, bless him, Scotty, a friend of mine, we worked together for years. One of the few people on this earth I could call a friend. Because I'm just an asocial person. Oh, and I'm really annoying. Let me see. What was it? Yeah, when I moved up here, he was like, "Oh, let's go to a baseball team game," and I went to a baseball game, and it was painfully dull. And then, I mean, and then Scotty took me to a hockey game, and it was painfully dull. I don't understand what, but again, I cannot really, fault. Don't tell me you kicked this out in the wrong place. Oh man, this kicked it really into a place about 1.5 miles where it should be. But you know what? Screw it. We're going to move it right back in. I know it's right back here, and I can just bring it chunk and export it or for because these doors have to be persistent in the game, or just do have to. Um, what got me about the baseball game is when I looked it up. Is that the Portland? I think they're called Sea Dogs, which is I think that's supposed to mean a seal. Maybe I don't know. I guess, but let's see here. And I looked it up, and the Portland Sea Dogs are a wholly owned subsidiary of the Boston Red Sox, and Boston is 120 miles south from here. And all of the decisions as far as hiring, which people are all in Boston. I mean, I can understand. Okay, the game to me is pointless, but some people may feel, oh yeah, I feel like Raw. It's my home team, yeah, or whatever. No, it's not. It's owned by people in Massachusetts. It's run by how because the games play here. Okay. Man, and I looked at how much people were spending on food and drink. I mean, I a Coca-Cola there was like 10 freaking dollars, and this was like 12 years ago, 15 years ago. Let me see. Because I just sports. What's the sport? Hey, but I mean, again, I'm not criticizing anybody who does like the footy or any sports because here's the thing. I think it was Doug Stanhope. I always bring this up every time I talk about sports and my utter disinterested confusion about it. Doug Stanhope, he did this, stand up, and he was just, said, I like football. And he said, yeah, whatever. American football. Yeah, we're all into some stupid shit. I tell you, yeah, from that point of view, I totally get it. I mean, I love some stupid shit myself. I Star Trek, that's stupid shit. Yeah, it's prior to the disco era, Star Trek was oh no, was not stupid shit for most people. But when the grand scheme of things, it is stupid shit. Um, but I mean, literally, when I used to go and I talked to people, and they would literally be able to count. Oh, every member of team. This guy, he's really strong on this, and this guy, he isn't like the guy back in the 1960s, and he'd be able to literally just rattle off these people in this. And at the time, and I'm hoping the mental health community is catching up with me. I had to go autism. This guy, this person, they are obviously they are perseverating. They are artistic, and I don't think that there's anything bad with autism. By the way, not at all. And in fact, for some people, it's a superpower, and I have nothing. But first, I mean, I was looking back in the day, and I had a conversation with a mental health professional about this, and this was before I met Laura, who's much more, informed and enlightened about these sort of things. And I mean, I just had to ask. I mean, for some reason, they call people who really know everything about Star Trek and every episode of Star Trek autistic. But how come people who can like do this rattle off sports scores and everything? How come they're considered normal everyday people? And the guy just said, "Well, it's different." And I was just there for my prescription, so I didn't want to pursue it. But no, seriously, they're no, again, I am not sorry. People who are into sports at that level where they can literally rattle stuff off like that, they are on the spectrum. And that does not make them a bad person, does not make them deficient. Unlike Robert Kennedy. I can't do Robert Kennedy's voice. I don't, RFK Jr.'s voice. I don't know how to impersonate a garbage disposal. He just has, oh God, anyway. Like he's like, oh, no, autistic people will never know love. They will never get a job, never contribute to society. Honest to God, that is the most. I mean, anyway, I could go into the whole history of like autism or diagnosis and everything, and Hans Asperger and everything. And by the way, I really don't like people over in Europe saying, "Oh, it's called Asperger's." No, no, in German the G is hard. It just is. And unless it's specifically pronounced like Hamburg, but usually it's hard, especially the center. So of the sense goes. So I'm very sorry, Charlie Brooker. I love you, and everybody else who takes offense at the word Asperger's, but that's with a little bit less accent. That's the way it would be pronounced. Um, so it's not Asperger's. The soft J does not exist in the German language. It doesn't. The sound J does exist, but it is not the G. And so anyway, just had to get that off of my chest. I mean, and let me tell you again, I am on the spectrum. You sit me down and we could talk about Babylon 5 and Dune and all. Oh my God, I could talk your ear off for hours and hours about the minutest details about that. I just sort of resented about how back in the day, oh yeah, all the nerds and people who are into Star Trek, they're autistic, but oh no, if you follow football and you're really into that, oh, you're just a healthy American man. Screw you. Just admit it. You're on the spectrum. There's nothing wrong with that. It's healthy. Just saying. Anyway. Oh, we're losing our viewers. That's fine. I don't expect anybody to tune in. It's strange. Nobody is chatting. Or maybe people are. Maybe I'll go over here and see. Because sometimes YouTube, in fact, I don't think anybody is chatting. I docs. A big fat zero. Yep. Let me tell you. Don't care if anybody's chatting. I'm astounded that anybody's still watching. Anyway. So yeah, this whole war thing that Donald Trump has gotten us into is the most. Again, it's just sort of like when Putin invaded Ukraine. I thought that was the most stupid goddamn geopolitical decision made in my lifetime. But I mean, as the old saying goes, Trump was like, "Hold my beer." Um, Goodness gracious! And over the last few weeks, I've gotten a sort of a Ronald Reagan was objectively evil and bad. But I respect him for one thing that I was unaware that he had done. Oh goodness, I forgot to press the test mode button. Sorry. But apparently, as we all know now, hopefully most Americans know, people, U.S. citizens know, and probably most, people in the international sphere now know that every Israeli prime minister has come over here to the United States, their colony, and said, hey, we really, really want you to invade Iran. We really, really want you to. And every president, to their credit, has said no until the present one. And I need to explain why the present one decided to fall for that. But Ronald Reagan, when, I forget, it was Rabin or whoever it was back in the day, he went there and said, you must invade Iran. If you do not, we will use our nuclear weapons and we will act ourselves. And Ronald Reagan, again, boss move, credit where credit's due, he sat back and he said, go and do it. Go and do it. You will be executing the first aggressive use of nuclear weapons since World War II. You will destroy every bit of goodwill that the Jewish people have accumulated since the Holocaust. You will be responsible for the worst, well, at that time, worst genocide since World War II. And he just counted them off. He said, yeah, go right ahead. Use your nuclear weapons. And, yeah. So again, props to Reagan for just putting him in his place like that. And also Reagan was the first person to use, apparently president, to ever use the word genocide in his, documents about what Israel was doing. So, as they say, a broken clock right twice a day. Oh, and by the way, we do have a couple of supporters, I think 2 or 3 over there in Israel. And I'll just say to you guys, hey, we have supporters in Russia, we have supporters in Ukraine, we have supporters in a lot of countries, we have a few in the Muslim world as well. We don't want anybody to fight, and honest to God. Stop committing genocide. And here's the problem: is I mean, I would be willing to think that the people who support Peace Island over there in Israel are among the 90% who want Netanyahu the hell out of there. And because the way Netanyahu's been able to just wrangle power and get certain power, oh boy, the Israeli version of their inbred redneck to vote for him. You know, he's been able to hold on to power for all these years. And it's really only 10% of the population supports him directly. And can I just say, the biggest thing, the problem, and I do say it's an American problem, is that when you see people like I forget, maybe it's Wes Watson or one of these guys, one of these manfluencers, these idiots, um, they're like criticizing Israel, and they're constantly going Jews, Jews, Jews. The United States of America. I completely forget. They're literally. I probably most of the United States' populations never met a Jewish person in their life, or they have and they didn't even. Um, uh, 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 I'm as the United States becomes less and less tolerant of Israel's BS. I am hoping to God that the rest of my fellow American citizens are able to keep the intelligence to distinguish between Jews and Zionists and understand that the majority, I mean, the United States of America is actually very unique in that Jewish people in the United States, on average, only support Israel by about 1/3. In other words, the majority of the American Jewish population doesn't have anything to do with Israel. And if they do, the majority of them are like, there's something has to be changed over there. It's a shanda, as they would say. Um, so I'm just really hoping as we make the transition to a country that, you know, is more skeptical of Israel, that we don't parlay it into just full out anti Semitism, as I'm seeing it on certain places. And that really disturbs me. And I have to say this every time because my last name, Bloomrich, you know, a lot of people, because during the two world wars, a lot of people with Germanic last names changed their names. And as a result, a lot of people assume that anybody with a European, Central European name, like mine, is you know, Jewish. Or actually, father's Catholic, mother's Baptist. I am a atheist, straight up. I used to be agnostic. I'm sort of an agnostic atheist in that I'm open to the concept of there being a God. I think it would be actually pretty amazing if there was, but as they say, you know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So, and I have yet to see that extraordinary evidence presented. So, oh goodness, for these testing purposes, I'm going to just turn off Bed Studio entirely. This is just annoying. Because when I stream, can I just say I get really performance. Oh well, we're going to be staring at this screen. I could continue rambling for a few minutes because it looks like we still have 3 viewers. Here's the if you have any questions about Peace Island, including why is it taking so long, please just go in the chat. Not that I'm demanding it. I'm just like, hey, it'll steer the conversation because let me tell you, I got lots and lots of material that I can ramble. Now, for example, today we had our first killing by ICE officers here in Maine. That sucks. Um, like Minnesota, Maine prides we and I would like I honor I sort of flatter myself by including myself among Mainers. We Mainers consider Maine to be a peaceful place. We don't like this kind of crap going on, and um, you cannot ever convince me that any ICE officer has any legitimacy. They are straight up freaking Donald Trump's little S attempt at creating an SA, a pathetic SA. There's this really great, if you don't know history, SA was Hitler's bodyguard prior to the SS, I believe. They were killed on the night of Long Knives, because, well, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I'm going to turn off virus. In fact, let me see if I can turn off anything else that will really like free up stuff. Screw it. gonna do. Let's see. I'm gonna just end task straight up. Google Chrome is just, it's still never solved its memory leak issue. I tried going over to Opera for a while, but I don't know. Just so many crap. NVIDIA. I don't need NVIDIA share. I should just turn off Steam as well because that suck up. It's gonna. Okay, cool. I mean, when you saw those Patriot Front kids, if you're not aware, there were some neo Nazis in Washington D.C. during Trump's Great American State Fair that just utterly failed. One of the things, I'm going to say two things. Number one, people it really should understand that, yeah, as pathetic as those like guys walking around are, like were covering their faces. In fact, let me just bring that up really quickly. Let's see, Patriot DC March. Let's see. Yeah, these idiots that are so proud of being, white and American that they cover their faces. Um, these idiots, these incels, um, these pathetic excuses. Oh, it looks like they have one woman back here. So it just goes to show, ignorance and stupidity knows no gender. Anyway, these people, they're a group, and number one, they only have about 525 members. Number two, if you look at their insignia here, not a single one of them is wearing the exact same. They can't even get their uniforms coordinated. So they're a bunch of kids cosplaying badly. Because, can I say, I have been to San Diego Comic Con. I have seen, the phalanxes of people in their stormtrooper suits, and their and the armies of like coordinated cosplayers. This is oh god, this would not pass. It's pathetic. So there's only about 525 very bad cosplayers. But and this is something that I mean most people do not. Yeah, most people don't know. Is that if you everybody knows about the Cuban Revolution, right? The Cuban Revolution. Um, I forget how many people went on the boat. That I think there were like about 20 people that were on the boat that was supposed to start the Cuban Revolution. They tried to when they landed, it was in the middle of the storm. Everything went bad with the start of the Cuban Revolution that could possibly go bad. I think at the end they were down to about 6 to 8 people. And but what they did is, I mean, you don't even though these people are only 525 members, understand that movements can grow from very very small seeds to become very effective. And I would, again, put, Castro. My goodness, performances. Oh, okay. And by the way, this is in editor. It's much faster. So let's see. Hold on. Are the doors going to open and just flip him off? Oh, they already did start to open. That's exactly the way I wanted it. When the doors, start open. Only problem is it's kind of hard to aim your jump inside. There we go. Yeah. And yeah, awesome. That is how you enter. Oh, holy crap. A chicken is still showing up. I'm going to find that chicken then. Anyway. But here's the problem is that I had a fascination for far right groups for many years, and I spent a lot of years researching them. these groups only grow so large until they either schism or their founder is found guilty of child pornography charges and the whole group has to break up. That's actually happened twice that I know of. It happened to the American Nazi Party back in the 70s, and it happened, I believe, with Kevin Alfred Strom, who ran the National Vanguard after William Pierce passed away. Um, like I said, I fortunately for this, I'm on the spectrum. Okay. Okay. That one's positioned right now. Actually, I want to test something. If the parent object is static, which it should be, hopefully the doors are still functional this time. I mean, look at the British National Party. The British National Party, they never even broke their 15 vote, threshold of getting. And I think Nick Griffin was another one of those guys that was outed for having CP. You know what I'm talking about. Um, and yeah, I think basically he was undermined by Tony Robinson and ish whatever it is. Also, I think Nigel Farage like stole a hell of a lot of his thunder. I think, by the way, I think Nigel Farage is still going to win against Count Binface because the thing is the mood of the entire country is yes, go Binface, yeah, yeah, show Nigel Farage what for. But if you go on the internets and you watch the interviews, the people who live in Clacton, they love the guy. They very much support him. I think it may be really really close, but I think he's still going to win because the only other candidates are other far right candidates, either farther to the right of Nigel Farage, and they're just going. In the end, they're going to make the same voting calculation to the great extent that we do whenever we're given a third party candidate. Most people say, I mean, when people said back in 2000, oh yeah, I'm voting for Ralph Nader. That support was very soft. When they went in the voting booth, a hell of a lot of those people wound up voting for Al Gore. So yeah, a performative vote, shall we say, or just performative for the polls. Just going, oh yes, I'm going to vote. But I mean, I do like Count Binface and all of that. I mean, I find him very entertaining. Such, he is a comedy writer, and yeah, I'm not. What's your appeal? I'm not Nigel Farage. That's all you need to be. And also, can I just say, the ability of Nigel Farage? Like I say, my autism preservations. One of them is far right movements. I know more about just that sort of crazy crap for some reason. It's like must keep this stuff in my head. Um, I think it's again because if you do not know, and I've said this many times, and it's another reason why I find fascism just stupid. Just why the hell are we bothering with this crap again? It's because my father, he grew up in the ruins of World War II, and I just don't understand how people can be so just poorly informed, just willfully poorly informed, and just like go along with stuff like this. Because I mean, Nigel Farage is just a total faker. Every time he goes in there, he goes up the rod. Oh, goes to it just with with his pint in his hand and with his stupid like freaking vampire smile. You know that when he's doing that, he's laughing at everybody there going along. Just I've got these people so fooled. He's a posh bastard. And I mean, and the thing is, can I just say, and it goes back to these jackasses, can I just say, I hesitate that I say that I would respect a Nazi or but if you believe in your crap, be a freaking Nazi, show your damned face and just, I have more respect for this than some mealy mouthed, idiot that just, oh, I'm not a Nazi, etc., etc. Good. forget it. Like Public Enemy said, these days you can't tell who's in cahoots. The KKK is wearing pea suits. Because I mean, really, back in the day when you had people like freaking, well, now we still have freaking David Duke. At least they were like, yeah, I'm a Klansman, I'm a white supremacist, I'm a Nazi, and I mean, at least then, dude, at least you have the well, I would say you just have the decency. Kind of fascists have a decency, the honesty to declare who you are and not just cover it up. I mean, that great video of what's his face, during Trump's first just inauguration when he got punched. He got punched, and as he was getting punched, he was saying, "Oh, I'm not a neo-Nazi. I'm just blah, 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 blah." Oh, you deserve it twice as much for that. I mean, goodness gracious, just have the courage to be who you claim to be. Otherwise, you're just a coward. And I mean, people are looking at this and going, "Oh, they're Nazis marching out in the open." Is this out in the open? Again, look at these people. People. Oh, this guy. You can see he paid $20 for one of their custom patches. This person over here, I don't know what the hell that is. This guy, he just, I don't know what the gray flag represents, but I don't know whether they were trying to show, oh, we're not all of one, mind, but I could see back here this person has a Patriot front flag. Oh, they all have it on their caps, but you could see here they didn't have the money to have custom caps made, so they just Velcroed them on. You can see they just glued some Velcro strips on there. So again, we're dealing with an organization here that is just very bad cosplayers. Anyway, okay, so we got that one door. Now I need to figure out the second door. And I could see somebody on, like I said, there's some people Reddit, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, there are still some people I know who are still trying to keep, the brigading going against myself in this project. Oh my goodness, I'm going to totally clip this part out where he says he would admire a Nazi. Oh, yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take me out of context, and it'll just go to. I mean, one of these people, they literally had to go back into stuff that I wrote 30 years ago, or so stuff that I had written 30 years ago, to find anything that they could claim is bad about me. And again, can I just say, if this is another reason why these people are really bad at their brigading and really bad at maintaining a narrative. And that's the most important thing, the narrative. Is that in politics, if you have to go back to somebody's like Twitter account 30 years ago to find something on them, you're desperate. You just need to you need to find a new candidate to work for if you're doing oppo research like that. But I mean, yeah. And I can I say, yeah, and these, oh my goodness, this crazy stuff. Uh, can I just say, if you get to my age, and I will just say it up now, 56, and let me tell you, youngins, when you get to the other side of 55, that's the point where you start really counting the years. From now on, I really don't give a crap what you. But anyway, when you get to my age, you're going to realize half of your life is regret. And if you get to my age and you have not done something that's cringy and stupid, you're lying. If you claim you've done that, no, you're lying. I guarantee you. Even goodness gracious, maybe. I mean, oh goodness, even the Dalai Lama. Jeez, go back to that. Oh yes, he's done cringy things. Remember him with a kid? Oh my god. But the one thing about that whole, I think about the Dalai Lama, if you did not know, there's this one picture or a video. Let me see. A child tongue. Yeah. There's this video, it was very viral, of this guy meeting this child, and I forget what he does. He like sticks his tongue out or something like that. Now here's the thing that everybody, I mean, everybody go, oh, he's a pedo, whatever, and we're just going into things like cringe. I'm hoping he's not. And my excuse for this guy's behavior, and let me tell you, I'll be the first to apologize if it turns out that indeed that he did have those sort of problems. He had the Michael Jackson problems. Um, you got to realize this is a man named Tenzin Gyatso. He is now, I mean, how old is? You're talking about a man, Tenzin Gyatso. He's 91 years old. When men get to be very elderly, they tend to act odd. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, that would offend, well, hopefully not offend a lot of Buddhists of this scene. Says, oh no, he's a holy man. He's not, he's the reincarnation. He would never become senile. Well, I think, maybe the vessel is weak, shall we say. Could it will come back eventually. I'm just saying, everybody, even the Dalai Lama, has done cringe things in their life. And I'm really hoping that after he passed away, we're not going to find out a lot of stuff about him, because he was such a revered guy. He still is, I hear. And if you didn't know, he said he's a straight up Marxist. Yes, he did. I forget exactly his quote, but he was like, I've been researching about economics, and the one I did, this man Marx, he seems to understand, etc. So, and the Pope, we have the woke Pope, we have the woke Dalai Lama. Hey, that's the thing. Again, I'm wondering again why religious people are on the side of incipient fascism. Come on. Why'd you choose this? You chose poorly, I just say. I mean, I am not a Christian, but I know these people, and they're like, "Oh, you don't understand. There's a story of this king, and he was like a very sinful man. He was foul, and he did so many things, but he brought in so many of God's commandments that were so good in the end, etc." Really? You think killing the 170 schoolgirls in Iran was godly? You think gutting social services, calling all those hospitals? I remember Jesus saying, "That which you did to the least of these, you did to me." Um, just confused as an atheist. I want you to explain it to me, please do. I mean, I have tried to have conversations with Trump supporters, etc. And I mean, the only one that I was able to conversation, but after he was a self-identified fascist, um, and he voted for Donald Trump. I had known the guy for decades, and I was able to keep contact with him. But thing is, I like I said, I known the guy for decades, and every time there's any gun argument in California, which is where he lives, I'm wondering, why do you choose to live? That's like me trying to live in Texas. I just wake up every day upset. But every time there was any gun control measures presented, he would just post and get upset, and no red flag laws, no waiting periods, no, it shall not be infringed, etc., etc. And after the death of Alex Preddy, at the hands again of freaking ICE, the same agency that murdered another of my fellow Mainers here today. After Alex Preddy was murdered by ICE, I went to this guy and I said, "Hey, what do you think about your Donald Trump now? This guy, he was legally carrying, he was literally, he was doing everything that you stand up for. What do you got to say about it? And his response was, well, I wouldn't go into a place I knew was full of a lot of police with a gun. It's all of a sudden, he was willing to immediately turn 180 degrees on these beliefs that he had held and stood up for years. And I was disappointed for a little bit, but my partner Laura here, she pointed out this guy, well, he claims to be a fascist. I think he's a guy who just really wants to wear a uniform. Um, and didn't find, the Marines to his guy. But anyway, this guy's a fascist. He has no principles. His only principle is deferring to authority. And after that, I had to say, listen, I can stand a guy that's like, oh, I want to be a fascist, a cosplaying okay, but if you're a freaking hypocrite, again, it goes back to if you're a Nazi, okay, I know where you stand. I'm sort of like Malcolm X. If you didn't know, Malcolm X was like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to sit down with a Klansman. He can bring his gun as long as I can bring mine. And that's the way, that's sort of my attitude. But let me tell you, if you're a freaking hypocrite, no, no, screw you. You've proven that. I mean, you've proven that you would be a really crappy fascist. Well, no, actually, no. You would be a very, very good fascist. And maybe that was another thing to me, is that I just really, really didn't understand the true fascist mind. I was like, playing with a snake, going, oh look, he makes a fun hissing sound. He hasn't bit me yet. Because if you're not the defining attitude, this whole thing about, oh, so much for the tolerant left, et cetera, et cetera. The defining dichotomy, I mean, thing about the defining conflict, the defining point in which the conflict between fascism and regular society just becomes untenable, is when you understand where both places, when you understand each place's goal. Understand, in my ideal society, somebody can be a fascist, somebody can be a Nazi. Yeah, I like I said, please declare yourself to be a Nazi so that we can all stand, point, and laugh at you. That's my attitude. Yes, be a Nazi. If you want to be one, be one. But in that fascist world, in that neo-Nazis world, the person that I'm giving permission to do that stupid crap, in his ideal world, people like me would be locked up or gassed or put into slave labor camps. You see, again, in my ideal world, there people are free to be fascists. In their ideal world, people like me are just, we're reactor shielding. And yeah, and I just have to go back again, and maybe just go back to the brigading Charlie Kirk fans. I just have to go back to, again, they have no principles, because I mean, I know their existential crisis, the Charlie Kirk fan these days. I mean, their thing was, Turning Point USA has been turned into a scion of APEC. Candace Owens has been, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very tough for them. They do not, the majority of Charlie Kirk fans, I guarantee you, do not know that the last time he was in Washington, D.C., his last words inside of the White House that anybody heard Charlie Kirk say was, please help me stop these idiots from attacking Iran. Now, again, I'm wondering whether this ties into his murder, but I won't drone on about that. Yes, I'm going to continue. And understand, right before he was killed, he was offered I think in the neighborhood of literally 9 digits, $200 million if he would stop criticizing our greatest ally, Israel. And he turned it down. Now, straight up, I'm going to look down at Charlie Kirk down there in hell, if there is such a thing, and I'm going to go, sir, I respect you. If somebody came me for with $200 million, that would be a hard, hard choice. But he said no. And I mean, I've been concerned about Israel my entire life. I mean, like I said, I've been fortunately following right wing movements my entire life, and that includes Zionism. And I just know literally, oh my goodness, free health care, free college tuition in Israel. Strange how we have like so much poverty here. I mean, my goodness, I mean, the next president, that's why we wanted Bernie Sanders. I mean, it will take a Jewish president to stand up to Israel and go, no more, no more, guys. And can I just say, we're talking about Lindsey Graham passing away, the first man, one of the first men in American history to pass away from the stress of denying his own homosexuality. Shame on you, Lindsay. I know Mima would be just so upset, just so upset. She learned her little boy. He was on the grinder every day. Sorry, it's just oh God, he is an unequivocally evil man. Right? And just if you ever want to know, and I mean no disrespect to people in the American South, Lindsey Graham is just an example of Southern. Every place has its duplicity. Lindsey Graham is a primary example of Southern duplicity. He is just smooth as silk. He talks, and he's just like, oh, this, that, and everything. And he as sweet as a person can be, but honest to God, God, it's snake in the grass. Okay, we keep that stuff. Because I mean, I'll say this: having lived all over the country, um, in New Jersey, if for the most part, I've discovered somebody has a problem with you, they'll tell you. That's where I used to live, or in Maine to a great extent. People don't sugarcoat things, but down there, down south, man, they'll just be like, "Bless your heart," and that, oh my goodness, stuff that can happen. And I've been screwed over by. So again, to our Southern Peace Island supporters, we wish you nothing but the best. And honest to God, we don't understand how. I mean, it's so hot down there. I lived in Tennessee for 13 years. Was not a fan. I'm trying to think of anything that really good happened to me in my entire life. Well, no, no. In fact, I think on Facebook, I recently just got rid of the last person who ever, last person on Facebook from high school that I ever, followed. I, I don't know because I intentionally tried to forget it. I just have no. I mean, here's the thing. Bless him. I mean, he was always posting Catholic stuff. I have no problem with the Catholic Church. Right? I mean, I really like the last two pontiffs they've had, straight up. Um, but here's the thing. He has a dog, and he would constantly be posting jokes about how his dog Salvador would eat cats. I just unfollowed him, and I said, listen, if you're posting jokes about that sort of thing, number one, it's not funny. And number two, I'm going to call if I ever see anybody doing that, I'm going to call animal control in their city, because understand if your domestic dog is literally eating other people's pets, you're dealing with an animal that needs to be destroyed. Anyway, so anyway, that was again, that's the kind of things that I remember from Tennessee. People like that, and I'm just not. And again, I can't paint all of Tennessee with that. I mean, I understand now Tennessee does have some great stuff going for it. It has its own Burning Man thing, just like a lot of others. It's got some stuff going on. But I can't remember really anything. I mean, now that I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about I can't remember anything that ever happened in the 13 years I lived in Tennessee that I can look back on and go, yeah, those were good times. Literally not a single thing. Uh, Glad I got left. I mean, when I left, I will tell you, I left Tennessee. I left Tennessee in 1997 because at that time I was at the Tony Rice Rehabilitation Center in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is still in business. Uh, yeah, I was working as a pencil. I was working at a pencil plant, and essentially, the reason I had wound up there was well intentioned but misplaced diagnoses. At a certain time in my life, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. But the thing is at that time they did not know that ADHD continues into adulthood. At that time, literally in the early 90s, they thought, oh, it just ADHD literally magically goes away when the person leaves puberty. And so I was put on a drug called Prozac. Now, Prozac, if you do not know, takes if your ADD is like a little, just like a tiny little cozy little blaze, Prozac throws a million gallons of gasoline on top of it, and it makes at least for my body chemistry, because I know everything's a spectrum. I was literally waking up in jail cells. I was waking up being arrested in ditches on the side of the road. And thankful it's kind of a hard thing to talk about, but it's what it is. At a certain time, I told my family, this medication is only making me worse. It's causing me problems, and whatever. I was told two things. Oh, Eric, it's so expensive. We only mean the best for you. And number two, I think you're doing fine. Um, in other words, somebody who's not inside, is just like, anyway. Anyway, after, yeah, in 1997, I left because I went up at the Tony Rice Center, and Tony Rice Center is a hardcore place. Let me tell you, it is a place that is literally half the people there are usually out of jail on murder charges or something. One of my roommates was a guy basically at about 30 years ago. He had lent his hammer to his friend, and gotta turn this off, make sure. And his friend came home with his tools about 2 hours late, and he was drunk. Just a spur of the moment decision. He's like, "How dare you be so late with my tools?" Opened the toolbox, brought out a hammer. Bam! The guy's brains were all over the wall, and he spent the next 30 years behind in jail. And he was one of my roommates. He went straight, basically committed murder, jail, Tony Rice Center. And man, can I just say, it was an illuminating experience being there. Somebody asked me once, "Do you regret the time that you were in there?" Etc. And I say, absolutely not. I got to see. Looking back, when I try to be humorous about it, I'm like, "Oh no, it was like living inside of a Tom Waits song," because yeah, it was just like just crazy. Just the dead end, the people that have absolutely no other choices, no other chances. And there were can I just say, some people who came literally from jail, and this was their last chance, and they said, if you leave Tony Rice, you're going to go straight back into jail. They went straight back into jail because, man, Tony Rice, you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. My job for over a year was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and cleaning a kitchen used by 30 guys every morning. And if I was lucky, I could go back to bed between 5:30 and 6 and get a little bit of a snooze before I went to my job, hauling 80-pound boxes of pencils up a staircase in an unair-conditioned pencil factory in Shelbyville. And yeah, it's a tough life. I mean, some people I can imagine. Yeah, I imagine jail is easier than that. I imagine that. Yeah. Um, but on the other hand, can I just say I learned a heck of a lot about I don't know, the human species and such, about life in general. And I got to meet some very interesting people there. There was a guy there that was like literally translating the Bible from Hebrew. He was doing his own translation of the Bible. There was another guy there that was just a master carpenter. There was this other one guy, Isaac, and he was like, he had been to the Culinary Artists of America, Culinary Institute of America, which is CIA, which is the most prestigious cooking school in the United States. And yeah, God, what was the other guy? There's this one guy, David. And here's the thing, like I said, and this is sort of a tough story, but it is what it is, and it has a good ending. There was because unfortunately the Tony Rice Center is down south, which is not as progressive as the rest of the country. It just is not. I know there are places down there that are as progressive, but not most aren't. Oh, somebody is actually critical mass, high critical. But let me finish my story about this guy at the Tony Rice Center. His because you had a bunch of ex-cons in there, and you had a bunch of people that I'm sorry, if I get a bunch of drug addicts, alcoholics, and weirdos, I mean, into it, you're not going to have the most savory of people. David, he was this thin guy, about like 5 foot, 5'4", gay. And there had been other gay clients, other people that had come into the Tony Rice Center who were gay, and they had been bullied out. And I always thought that was a shame. I tried to do what I could. It's just absolutely disgusting, some of the things that these guys had to put up with. But David, he did not. He went to Mr. Hawkins, who was the guy who runs the place. Mr. Hawkins was just. I'm glad that I went to the Tony Rice Center just to have witnessed a man like Jim Hawkins. He was unbelievable. That's something I could do a whole stream about him, man. But anyway, he went to Mr. Hawkins. By the way, he was in his late 70s. Just an elderly, old Southern man. He just went to Mr. Hawkins and he told him, I'm being bullied. This is wrong. And Mr. Hawkins, he called a special meeting, and man, he just said, how effing dare you? He just screamed at the entire crowd, at everybody, how dare you? He was drooling. He was so angry. And the thing is David, people were like, okay, we won't mess with this guy. But David, he knew, a little bit of take and a little bit of give. Number one, he liked doing doing hairdressing. And number two, every time there was, if you were Tony Rice Center, you had to go to at least one AA meeting a day, 2 if you were unemployed. And but you always had to have at least one person behind in both facilities to just keep an eye on things and make sure nobody, broke in or anything. And when David did that, he timed it so that as soon as everybody came home from the AA meeting, there was a pile of Nestle Toll House cookies, hot, piping, gooey cookie. He didn't get any BS after. He was really because number one, he could, just do everybody's hair for free. They don't have to pay it. And also cookies. Who doesn't like a cookie? Let me tell you. Yeah. I wonder where David is nowadays. Unfortunately, nowadays we know that the Alcoholics Anonymous program is not as effective as we like to think it is. But here's the thing. I think there's a lot of wisdom in there. I think I still have my blue book here, so I think there is some wisdom to be had in AA. I don't think their program is very effective. Maybe 10% is, I think, what the outlet 10% effective overall. Um. Oh. Yeah. Forget. There's still conversation here. We need to redo this conversation because initially, uh, this was to let you know if you ever came down here, you hear her meowing. But now that was before it, and you just have a conversation letting you know, oh, there's another cat down there. But now we have the doors working. I'm sure. Oh, sorry. Awesome. Doors open and you have access to the basement. Excellent. I need to slow down the movement on that or increase the weight on that um, board that's keeping the doors locked because I want to make it clear that the cat is like pushing it out of the way. Yeah, Jim Hawkins, he ran the Tony Rice Center, and th- I really can't describe him. I really could never describe him. He basically every day he would give a class on top of the two AA class, meetings we had to go to every day, and he would just open up the blue book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he would just go through sequentially. He wouldn't go through the stories at the end, but he would just go sequentially, and he would go over word by word. He would sometimes spend an entire day on half of a sentence. And when you first met Jim Hawkins, you'd be like, this guy, he's this old, elderly, skinny man. I have never seen he was like a southern preacher and like a prophet of God. He would throw things, he would yell, he would. Oh my goodness! I mean, the first class I ever went to, I just had to sit. I was like, "What am I seeing? What?" And yeah, and it was very common for the new people, like I did in our first AA meeting, in the trailer out back. We would go, man, they need to figure out a way to bottle that guy. It's just you when you'd spend an hour in that guy's presence, and he would you'd learn. My goodness, and and the thing, he was spent outside of that 1 hour. He would just spend all of his time in the office smoking old gold cigarettes and sleeping. Sundowning basically. He's unfortunately now passed away, but yeah, and again, even though I'm critical of the AA, the Alcoholics Anonymous, program and everything, I still will say the Tony Rice Center it was beneficial to me, and I think it's still beneficial. It would be beneficial because they were no effing nonsense. No, I mean, this was before the age of cell phones, but I'm guaranteed they're now no cell phones, no internet. I mean, you had to go in there, and it was like up 2 months before you could even make a telephone call outside, or like, and after about like 6 months, you could get a weekend pass every 2 weeks for 1 day to visit your family. It was a really hardcore. And again, when you have to go to 1 to 2 AA meetings a day, and you're subjected to the wrath of Jim Hawkins, let me tell you, um, you can't help but come out of there as change. I mean, to this day, if I'm at somebody's house and they've served dinner, I immediately get up and start handling the dishes because for over a year, that was what I did, and I still think there's something beneficial to that. Yeah. Let me see what you see here. Tony Rice. Uh, Tony Rice Center, Shelbyville. Yeah, Tony Rice, Rise Recovery Recline. Yeah, and that's it. They had a big problem with me because I was an atheist, and especially down south. But here's the thing: is You just had to prove your mettle. You just had to stay in there and just, stick by your guns and et cetera, et cetera. Actually accepted it. And also, can I just say at that young, when I was that young enough, I was almost willing to accept, the Aquinas definition of God, the original, what is it called? The initial cause, I forget the original cause, because the universe is a series of actions. There has to have been that initial thing. But I don't know. There are a heck of a lot of really good physics discussions about how, something can come out of nothing, et cetera, et cetera. But, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know definitively. That's why I'm still sort of a little bit of the agnostic. But again, if I'm going to believe in God, you better give me some really good proof. Just and when I mean, God, there was this one scholar I saw, and they were like, most religions have like this miracle or something associated, and it was an Islamic scholar. They said, "Well, here's the miracle, the Quran," and isn't that sophistry? Anyway, bless you, my Muslim supporter. By the way, here's the thing: is that's one thing that another thing I have to step away for a moment, and this is what I'm going to leave you for the time being. If you do not know, they've discovered that the average atheist knows more about the Bible and religion than the average Bible believing Christian. And there is, I forget the exact quote, and maybe there are some religious people quoted in the chat over there, but they say, if somebody questions your faith, you're to rejoice. You're not to be offended. But man, throughout my entire life, let me tell you, whenever I just said, I just said, I don't believe this. Oh my God, the offense. They would the anger, the offense, and everything. I just never really understood it because I thought you were Christians. And I thought you were supposed to be forgiving and tolerant, et cetera, et cetera. Oh my goodness. You dare say you don't believe in God, and they feel I mean, at AA meetings, I literally had people calling me out. I'm offended when you say you're an atheist. I go to church every Sunday and I believe, I truly feel, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the thing. If you do not know, your ability to believe in God and any of this is directly tied to the size of a little part of your brain. If that part of your brain is developed, you will have a better chance of believing it. That part of my brain just does not exist. I my entire life I have never understood how anybody could believe this stuff. I just and to a certain extent, even though I understand the Catholic Church, they have they've definitely had their problems. Oh, I don't need to even go into that. But I mean, they are one of the few churches that's willing to like go, oh well, it's all allegorical. It's all a bunch of stuff, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're all Irish for some reason, and but I'm willing to get that, but I just don't. The sake, but his King James Bible is the only edition, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't get it. Let me see. I have to step away for a minute because I need to use the restroom because I'm old. I'll be back in. For those 0 people that are watching, we still have some. Well, that's the thing. There's clipping me going just like obliquely. Well, I'd respect a Nazi if they just declared themselves to be a Nazi. Eh. Again, I don't like hypocrites. If a Nazi comes up to me and just like goes, "Yeah, I'm a Nazi," okay, well, at least I know where you're coming from. At least, but if you're like that Richard Spencer guy that just equivocates, go, "Oh, I wouldn't call myself a I'm more of an ethno-nationalist, American, blah blah." Oh, bam! Just get out of my face. Come on. But also, if you're a Nazi, bam, be back. Oh, and by the way, geez, oh yeah, I was gonna check out these garbage cans. We seem to have a problem. By the way, if anybody wonders, I mean, this is a common thing among far right neo Nazis that are just coming out of the closet. They are. Um, this whole thing about why do we punch Nazis? Do we advocate for violence? No, we do not advocate for violence. However, understand, if you understand fascism, if you've done any research into its ideology, violence is the language of fascism. It is the language that is at the heart of their modus operandi, the way they communicate. This is how. And understand, when they say, "Oh, how could you say these guys are violent? They're just doing their peaceful march there in D.C." Understand, if those guys were in charge and our side tried to do the exact same thing, march with our colors, with the American flag, they would come out and kill us. And considering that the Nazis' real goal is to kill us, I'm again wondering why they are so like sensitive about something like a punch. Because that's what I wish I could do like a comprehensive history of fascism and everything. But actually, there's a guy, Sean Grenier, the canvas. Let me see. Yeah, Sean Grenier over here.
I'm not done, but to you, I am. So I'd like to thank you to address.
Sorry, you have to pardon
this
me.
one right here.
Just won't stop. Yeah, Sean Grenier, the canvas. This is a great channel. He did a very good. It's like almost. How long is this again? An almost 2 hour long video about the nature of fascism, its origins and stuff. And I mean, it was kind of hard for me to learn about some of these things because I did not know that like the futurist art movement was like a moving factor behind fascism, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, fascism is all about mindless movement for the sake of movement, and violence to get their way. And I don't know. There are so many people who have different theories about it. Whether it's, say something, people say it's imperialism turned inward. Some people say, it's just society, cancer. I would have to just really agree with the cancer part of it. Really, there is, I mean, to me, I mean, I'm a straight up Marxist. I've never made that different. I've never made that a secret. But really, to me, it's a matter of following the money. And literally throughout my entire life, our society has become more and more stratified as far as like the haves and the have-nots, that it's gotten to the point that our country, the United States of America, is more unequal than most African, tin pot dictatorships. And understand, we live in an oligarchy now, and the people that run this, you can have a democracy and an oligarchy at the same time. And the oligarchs that run our country right now, they're concerned about their money and absolutely nothing else. And what they are doing right now is, throughout my entire lifetime, they've had these little things. Yeah, you guys could, okay, you little people, you go to argue about gay rights. Just don't raise my taxes. Okay, you guys could argue about immigration. Just don't raise my taxes. Okay, you guys can argue about, bathrooms and who can use a bathroom. Just don't raise my taxes. And the thing is as the societies become more and more and more and more unequal and more dysfunctional as a result, people are becoming more and more desperate. And the people, the oligarchs, they're realizing that really they can't continue this BS. Don't don't complain about how I'm not paying any taxes and you're paying like a third of your salary toward tax. Don't complain. Don't think about how come your wages haven't been raised in a very long time. Um, they're just think about this, and I think as things are becoming more and more apparent that is not the solution, and people can't become distracted when they can't feed their families, and they're losing things, and things that year after year are getting worse. And again, in about a year, I think we're going to have a famine in this. People are getting to the point where they're going, these distractions don't work anymore. I want an answer. I want an answer. And here's the problem: is these oligarchs are realizing, victimizing gay people isn't enough. Victimizing or all these little like side issues aren't enough anymore. We need to ramp it up. We need to like start. I don't know. We need to start people arguing over race and stuff like that, and gender and stuff like that. It's just. I mean, how far are they going to go to distract us from raising? Because that's the one thing, they just don't want to pay their taxes. They don't want anybody to touch their money. And are they going to literally just go, oh, yeah, sure, let them become fascists, as long as they don't touch our money? And I mean, straight up, when you see Elon Musk doing his little fascist salute there twice, I think he was the guy that's going, yeah, let's go straight up. And Peter Thiel sure as hell ain't a Christian, but he's demanding, people should become Christian because, that'll make them respect my authority and, make them want to slave endlessly in horrible conditions for me so that because they'll be promised something better in life in the future after they die. It's just really so stupid. And again, this has been said many times, and I'm going to have to say it again, is I thought that when nerds ran this world, it would be a hell of a lot cooler and nicer. It's just these people, I do not understand how these people could just become the absolute horrific examples of subhumanity that they are. What really frightens me is my entire life, it's been true. Young men in the United States of America look up to two people: the President of the United States and the richest man in the world. Think about the two people who are in those positions right now. Makes one sick, does it not? I don't know. But here's the thing. There's this great quote by an Italian Marxist by the name of Gramsci, I think. And he said, I'm a pessimist because of knowledge, but I'm an optimist because of necessity. I do believe that there has to come a time where this crazy movement that we're going through right now, this weird, aberrant, mutant idiocracy that we're going through right now, it's got to end. And I mean, if you don't know what we're going through right now, if you ever read Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, we're going through the time of the mule. Because if you don't know, I mean, the Foundation series was based on that very, very long encyclopedic rise and fall of the Roman Empire. And there were times, I mean, understand, we as Americans, and, we have this really short view of history. But Rome was around for, how long did the Roman Empire last? I mean, I really don't, because I don't think about the Roman Empire that straight up. About 1,500 years. They existed for 1,500 years. That's 6 times what our country has gone through, has lived. The Roman Empire went through times when their government became a farce, and there were weirdos and just absolute insane people running it. And you know what happened? about if you look about a couple of generations later, the Rome just moved on. They're back on stable ground, and they're like, hey, we're just not going to talk about that time back then. We're better. We learned something, but unfortunately, we're always condemned to forget. So I would like to believe that humanity will come up with a better solution than just tearing itself apart. I just really hope. Um, and let me tell you, as development on this game has gone on, having to like really frame the narrative where humans are worth bringing back is becoming more and more difficult as the years go on. One of the more frightening things I saw was a couple of weeks ago. I mean, trust me, I'm not the biggest fan of the New York Times. David Brooks and all those people, honest to goodness. David Brooks needs to be put on a canoe and just sent off and just stop. You're too old and boring, David Brooks. Anyway, but I remember seeing a New York Times magazine recently. Cover was just black, and in small type of said we could have saved the planet 30 years ago. And yeah, but hey, what can you do? Whenever I hear these things in my mind and I consider the horrible state of the world and the human race in general, I just try and remember my father's voice whispering over my shoulder. There's nothing you can do about it, Eric. There's nothing you can do. I mean, I worked and bless the people out there, Greta Thunbergs and the Medea Benjamins and all those people who are out there and being activists and still trying in the face of getting worse in every setback. They still tried. Bless them. But, Kurt Vonnegut once said, it's apparent people, we just don't like it here. People, we just don't like it here. If we liked it here, we wouldn't act the way we do. We wouldn't be destroying the place. We wouldn't be pumping the ocean full of shit, the air full of carcinogens. Why the hell are we doing this? Let's see. Yeah. And I keep on going back to this interior because check. For some reason, I've been ranting too much and not looking enough. Back on. Sorry. Oh yeah, the garbage can. So this thing. I'm going to take a look at that texture. It's got no metallic. Maybe that's why. I think that maybe. Anyway. Okay, guys, gals, and those in between. I'm sorry that I rambled on for so long. So just ramble. Yeah. In the update that's coming in about 48 hours, hopefully I will be able to fix. I'll be able to get fix at least 2 bugs and get another 2 things off of the master list. And I'm going to close with this. I know that it's taken us a very, 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 very long time to make Peace Island. And trust me, I wish it wasn't the case. If I had not made the wrong decisions in hiring back in 2020, this game would have been finished about a year ago. However, understand over the course of the time that we've been working on this game, we have gone through at least 3 incidents that would have destroyed a regular game project. And each time one of these things happened or we encountered another delay, we had 2 choices. We could either say, okay, it's going to be delayed and people are going to be upset, and we're going to be accused of being late, which is true, but at least we'll finish the game. The other choice was give up entirely. Now, as bad as that first choice is constantly disappointing people and ourselves and constantly falling behind, I will always consider that to be far, far preferable to the other option of just giving up. I've never worked on anything for as long and as hard as I have on this game in my entire life, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But I'm never giving up. Like I've said on Reddit a couple of times, nothing will stop us from getting this game done. There are things that can try and stop us. There are things that possibly could stop us, but nothing will. That good night. Take care, everybody who's watched this, and I sincerely apologize for putting you through this. Bye bye.